One of our favorites from the Post, David Hunn, Post-Dispatch, a reporter here in studio. David, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
So the work has begun on the Arch Grounds?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Lenore K. Sullivan's shut down, or at least part of it is.
Right.
They've got periodic closings. In fact, I just heard a good little story about, they're not closing the downtown streets when they don't have to. Sorry. So they close them, at night. They'll close them only in certain sections, other than Lenore K. Sullivan.
Right.
Well, that causes problems sometimes, right? So big concert last night gets out. Parts of parts of Broadway get or sections around there get closed.
Right.
And then of course you have some problems. In fact, one of your reporters just told me that.
Yeah. All right. Good. But the Pauper Street Bridge is starting to be shut down too, right? Or some of those exit ramps and entrance ramps.
It's exit and entrance stuff.
Yeah. And that's all part of the whole Arch Grounds deal. Or no?
I don't know if that is actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it. Well, yes, certainly parts of it are. Like, for instance, right there by the landing.
Right.
That stuff is all Arch Grounds work.
Right. Lenore K. Sullivan will never be seen the same way again, right?
It's going to get, about 2 feet raised?
Right, yeah. So, I mean, it's...
And then you'll have that big bike path going through it.
Right. They also announced that they're starting to hand out the money, right? Is that what that story was?
So they... Yesterday, in fact, this is kind of interesting. So they were going to go out for $10 million in bonds, right? The board of Great Rivers Greenway, that's the trails organization that's going to shepherd the public tax dollars, right? Mm-hmm. So they were going to take the 2 cents on a $10 purchase that we're all going to pay,
right,
in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. We're all paying that for the Arch Grounds,
right,
and the trails and stuff. And they were going to take that and use that to get a $10 million up front, start the Arch Grounds project. Well, they go out to bid. Right? It's a private bid. They ask a whole bunch of banks, hey, can you guys bid on it? UMB Bank comes back and says, we can give you 2%, which is insane. It's super good.
Right.
And if you get $20 million more by the end of the year, we'll keep it at 2%. So we'll give you $30 million at 2% by the end of the year.
Now, why did they do this? It's such a good deal for them?
It's a good market.
It's just, money-wise, markets-wise, it's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not going to stay that way. So for Great Rivers Greenway, we don't expect it to stay that way.
Sure, right.
So for Great Rivers Greenway, that's a great deal. So $30 million should fund almost the entirety of the public portion of the south section of the Arch Grounds renovation.
Wow.
So just south of the Arch, where the reflecting pond is.
Right.
That whole section, and that's going to be pathways. They're going to do the wheelchair ramps down to the to the riverfront.
Right.
They're going to do. Actually, that'll be a different project. Sorry, scratch that.
Okay.
But the pathways and the reflecting pond upgrade and all that stuff.
So that's really great news. So they have now more money to do other things with?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is we always have to remember, $380 million project, right?
Yeah.
$217 million is private money. So, and we really don't have a good handle. I mean, with all due respect to City Arch River, the private organization that's raising the money.
Right.
They're a private organization. They don't have to tell us exactly what's going on. So it's just a little less clear. We think they're doing well. They report they're doing well.
But they haven't raised their money yet. They haven't said
they don't have $217 million yet. We know that.
Gotcha. Right, yeah.
I think the last time I talked to Walter Metcalf, they were, I think in the $100 million.
$100 million.
And what if they don't raise all of the money? What will happen?
The $217 million question.
That is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the hook. Yeah. I think there would be absolute public outrage if they don't raise that money. I mean, they just have to, because if they don't.
But these are all civic progress guys. They don't put that number out there unless they know they can get it.
Tell you what, the only thing I worry about is I feel like every other day I read another story about another. I mean, so Forest Park Forever is going to build a fancy parking lot and tent area, and they're redoing that one by the Muni, the parking lot that's a disaster, cracked asphalt, everything.
Right.
That's going to be another $3 million. I mean, every day you read about another project that's going to take fundraising.
Well, stop reading those stories. You won't have to worry about
it. Private schools. I mean,
right.
Wash U. I mean, how many different groups are looking for donors to be generous?
Yeah.
I mean,
is there enough money to go around?
Yeah.
And that is something people talk about. Is
can they get to that to that.
Overstressing donors. No, are you kidding? Walter Metcalf says they're going to make it, and they're going to make it by October 28th, 2015. He says.
Right. Yeah. When are we? So we're starting to see. When are we going to start? Well, let me ask you this question: is the arch going to shut down at all? Are they going to shut it down? Are they going to close it down at all?
So the plan, barring, disaster, is that they will shut down sections, finish the section, and actually build observation decks and pathways while they build one section. So, for instance, they're going to do the south section. They should build an observation deck and a pathway that goes right by the south section so that people can come on to the arch grounds and actually watch construction happen.
Huh.
They call it
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget what they call it.
An observation deck.
There we go.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Are they doing anything to the actual arch? Is that going to stay as
You
is?
mean, one of my colleagues, Nick Pister, has reported extensively on all the rust and, problems with the arch. No, totally separate issues. I mean, that I think they still hope to give the arch a good cleaning down the road, but I don't think there's anything in the hopper.
When because the entrance is going to change as well. There's going to be that front entrance under the arch type of deal.
That's the last thing to get done.
That's the last thing.
That's the most expensive. It's by far I mean, we don't think about that either, but digging out that hill and extending they have to extend the museum all the way up to that park over the highway.
Right.
And that is a huge undertaking.
Right.
And then on top of that, they're going to make all those exhibits fancy. They're going to put, come on, let's all be honest. You walk down into the Arch Museum, it feels a little stuffed, right?
It's okay.
I've seen those buffaloes since I was like 10 when the family was driving through.
It needed some updating.
Nobody argues with that. Like the National Park Service folks are thrilled that they're going to get to update this stuff.
Right.
I think they probably feel it most acutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the last part. All of that fancy stuff that's going to happen indoors is actually the very last part. So that's going to be the last part to open.
Right.
So we're going to be walking around the outside of that well before we go inside.
And then you've made this point that the lid over Highway 70 is a different project than the arch grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're connected, but so Missouri Department of Transportation is really doing the lid.
Right.
And what's interesting is they're doing the concrete and the steel and they're doing all the under part of the lid, but the park part actually is part of the arch project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that part is being designed by the
Right.
MVVA, the designers.
And then when is this all going to be done?
Well, so I love this topic too. So they're hoping to get it done, have a big ceremony October 28th, 2015, right?
Okay.
That's less than 2 years away.
Right.
And think about the project. I mean, they are tearing everything up. They're tearing out that garage. They're opening a hole into Laclede's Landing.
They're tearing out the garage.
The garage
too?
by the Eads Bridge over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to put this really beautiful looking grass amphitheater where the garage is. You're going to have pathways. You're going to have raised pathways that wrap around things.
Right.
Like children's gardens.
Since they're tearing out the garage, where would the parking be then?
Plenty of parking downtown,
Still-
according to David Hunn in the Post-Dispatch.
Well, let's adjust that a little bit and say according to them, according to David Hunn. And actually, if you think about it, if you drive downtown for parking, like pick any time, a Rams game, whatever, there's a lot of street parking. I mean, surface lots.
Right.
There
really is plenty of parking.
There's a lot of parking downtown.
Yeah. Matter of fact, when I went to the Rams game, I was late and I made kickoff by a minute, and I parked right next to the stadium and walked right in.
So 2 things on that, though. First off, that's actually not the issue. The issue isn't how much parking there is. The issue is, will tourists who come to St. Louis find that parking? And that's a real issue. So they have to do a lot of signage and stuff like that.
Right.
So 2, the goal, the anniversary of the Arch's, building
Right.
is October 28th, 2015. When we finally got the construction schedule a couple weeks ago, they're not going to make it.
They're not going to
get it done by then. No, it's so aggressive. So they're going to get a large chunk of it done, but they're not going to get the whole thing done. That inside part of the museum is not going to be finished by October 28th. Now, what's hilarious about this is that Walter Metcalf, the guy
Right.
driving this thing forward, is so he is like, listen, if I don't accept that, that's not okay with me. If we have to work harder to get it done by October 28th, we're going to work harder and we're going to get it done. On the other hand, the National Park Service says that's not how we do things.
Right.
We're slow and methodical. We do things right.
Right.
And
so this is where public and private sort of butt heads.
And that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch going forward.
Right, yeah. Could see how Walter Metcalf could get a little angst with the Parks Department because the Parks Department, they're like the Catholic Church. They just deal in decades. They don't deal in months.
And they are completely open about it. I mean, they basically say, listen, we're not doing this for the anniversary. We are doing this for your children's children.
Right.
And we
literally.
Yeah.
And we don't care
Right.
if somebody's giving us pressure.
David Hunn with us, Post-Dispatch reporter covering this. Are you involved with the 2014 250th anniversary party? Covering that at all?
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reporter Tim O'Neill is doing most of that.
Okay.
He's got a pretty good.
He's
grip
got
on
that.
it.
You were doing the zoo, right? Anything new on the zoo?
No, in fact, I haven't checked in with them on construction. They're taking down Forest Park Hospital.
Right.
They're probably darn close to finished with it.
Yeah.
I'll have to look carefully as I drive by.
And then lastly, the $64,000 question. The only thing I care about the Arch Grounds is what are they going to do with Harry Weber's Lewis and Clark statue?
I don't think it's.
You think it's going to stay where it is?
I think it's staying.
I think it should stay there. I love it there. It's sort of out of the way. It's sort of a terrible place, but it's also kind of where maybe they sort of landed.
If your question is, are they going to move it? I got to find that out. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, good. There you go.
Good question.
Yeah, good. David Hunn, always good to see you, my friend.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, always a pleasure. You're a great writer, and we love having you on the show, so thanks for popping in.
I always appreciate it.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
To you both as well.
You got it. 8:30 here, Big 550, KTRS.